Hello, hello, and welcome to another ohmTown Daily News Show. This is for January 8th, 2023. Today's episode is titled C-SPAN's new reality show, All Up into House, and more news. Let's get going. Hello, I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmtown.com, and this is the ohmTown Daily News Show. And from all over ohmTown, no matter where you are, you could technically be in a meeting, and the booming voice can still be heard all over ohmTown. You want to
Good
introduce
evening,
yourself?
hometown citizens.
Hello, ohmTown citizens. The AI says, huh? You want to say that again for me real big?
Good evening, hometown citizens.
Oh, God, it gets scarier when you're pleasant. Okay. Well, today is going to be an interesting show. We've got a pretty broad gamut of topics. I really dig C-SPAN lately. So that's what we're talking about today. 10 articles. Odd news day. Seems like it's really slow, but that's pretty typical for everything going through ohmTown. So I'll stop rambling. Let's get into it. The very first article is in the tax guy section over at marketwatch.com. I aggregated into, or I should say the gatherer throws it into stock marketeers, and it's a Dear Tax Guy. I plan to make $6,000 selling stuff on eBay. Can I put it into an IRA instead of paying taxes? I know from my own inquiry, no. But let's just jump over to, they also say they're trying to clean out their house and sell it at cost or small profit. Everybody wants to make a at cost or small profit on eBay. Sometimes your stuff goes well beyond what you thought was the value of it because people really want it, whatever it might be. This article was first published December 2nd and then updated again on January 8th. And the title changes. This is something that I talk about with MarketWatch quite a bit, only because it drives me nuts. The URL is actually titled Dear Tax Guy. I've accumulated a lot of junk. I plan to make $6,000, but then they changed the title to I plan to make $6,000. I don't know why they do this stuff, but whatever. Andrew Keshner is the author of this. And so they post, oh, if you haven't heard, just I kind of buried the lead there. eBay is sending out 1099s if you have sold anything on eBay. And now it's you are going to have to root around and figure out what the product was worth when you purchased it. And if you didn't amortize its depreciation over X number of years, you basically, everything is going to be treated as capital gains from my understanding. So, you're going to start getting these 1099s from eBay. Is it going to be painful? Yeah. If you sell more than $600, you're going to have to.
Almost every seller on eBay. Sorry.
No need to be sorry. I appreciate the AI that runs ohmTown being sorry about cutting in, but that's fine. You can do that anytime you want to. So what's freaky about this is that it's $600. You sneeze and you make $600 on eBay. If I were to start selling all of my stuff that I've accumulated, I'm old. It wouldn't be that big of a deal to make $6,000. So I'm a little spooked by this because I've already paid taxes on this stuff. I'm not selling it even at a profit, but now I'm going to have to sit there and figure out what it was worth or whatever. I mean, it's just, anyway. So there's some discussion in here about how the IRS is going to start getting these 1099 forms from eBay. We are going to get 1099 forms. They're going to be notified of how much everybody is making, and we are going to have to file a 1090. Well, we're going to have to file it in our taxes. So it says in the old rules, the third-party payment platforms could churn out a 1099-K once the combined payments exceeded $20,000 and there were more than 200 transactions. In the American Rescue Plan of 2021, the same sweeping bill that authorized the third round of stimulus checks and temporarily boosted child tax credit payments, the lawmakers made the reporting thresholds kick in much sooner, $600. Yeah. So not only does Apple, my brain just broke down. Not only does eBay take a piece of that apple, they take a bite right out of it, but so does any payment gateway. So PayPal takes a bite out of that apple. And then you get the remnant, the core, the dried out husk that's been desiccating in the sun in drought-stricken California. That's what you end up with. And if you manage to get $600 out of it, guess what? Capital loss doesn't matter.
This is going to be an interesting tax season because this will be the first year that it applied in 2022.
Yeah. So they talk about the taxes. It will be treated as capital gains, even though you've already paid taxes on it. You might be selling it for a loss. Capital loss doesn't apply. So you may be making money when you sell your stuff. You hope you do. One person's junk is another person's treasure. That's what the author says. But the cash you're getting is not necessarily a capital gain for tax purposes. First, you'll need to know what you originally paid for the item to determine the cost basis for the capital gain. So if you bought it at $5,000, you sell it at $6,000, you have $1,000 of capital gains. If you bought it for $5,000 and sold it for $3,000, just mitigating your losses so that you can purchase something else, selling personal property does not enable losses. So
this is going to impact the side gig economy out there too, right? I mean, because aren't people buying and selling just to make profits on places like eBay?
Correct. Just a couple of days ago, I think I did a segment on the fact that there is somebody that is selling dresses as a side gig and making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, if they aren't operating on this same as a business, if they're not framing it as a business, it's a side gig, they are going to be juiced even more on their capital gains, on the profits of this, because they had better be keeping meticulous prices or documentation for every transaction, what they purchase it for and how long. I don't know. Most people that are selling, well, I can't say that. It would be anecdotal for me to say that. Many people that are selling on eBay are just selling a one-off thing, Here, I'll show you my Hue bulb again. So I'm selling my Hue bulb. I bought it for, I don't know how much, and I'm selling it for $65. If I bought it for 50 and I'm selling it for 65 because supply and demand, and people bid it up so high, then okay, but I had better have a receipt for that $50 purchase. Otherwise, for whatever reason, I don't know how far into the reads they're going to get in terms of monitoring this kind of transaction, but the IRS will be bombarded by audits if $600 is the threshold and people start filing stuff. It's going to be a nightmare. And now the new House in the United States, the new House is saying that they want to kill the budget for the IRS. So hot mess coming at you. So let's continue on. Let's just say that it isn't an easy decision in this entire thing. It's not going to be easy. at all. And it says, is the juice worth the squeeze, which is something that I always say when I'm interacting with people in business. You're thinking about putting the proceeds into an IRA. Here's the catch. You contribute to an IRA with earned income like wages, salaries, commissions, tips, bonuses, or net income from self-employment, as the IRS notes, to generate earned income. Destined for an IRA, an enrolled agent and founder of Ryan Financial, you have to say you're in the business of selling junk. So it's not something. Yeah, is it worth the squeeze? What I would probably recommend is don't put it into an IRA. Put more of your salary into an IRA, and do it that way, or other financial instruments. Do it the easier way. So let's move on to the next article. This next one's over in Smack Talk. Apple's mixed reality headset may launch before WWDC, which is the Worldwide Developers Conference. What do you think of AR, AI that runs ohmTown?
I'm more interested in VR than AR. But maybe that's because I have constant IT access as it is, so I don't really see the benefit of AR.
That's funny. See the benefit of AR. Oh well. Hey, so AR is augmented reality, VR is virtual reality, and with AR you can actually walk around wearing glasses, AR glasses, right? So I can modify these or buy what is it called? Oh, I forgot the name of it. There's AR glasses that are on Amazon right now. Nreal is what they're called. Nreal glasses. Spectacular in my regard. When I have interacted with them, I've liked it. So they're expensive, but they are AR. And if you, as the service, the capabilities expands, they're going to be more and more capable of providing you information and interaction and all of this kind of stuff. But way back, Google Glasses existed, and people were called glassholes because they would wear them in inappropriate areas, and people got assaulted. So Apple is going into this AR VR world. With VR, the pass through, first off, they're big and bulky, big old, things on your face. It's not very pleasant if you're going to be out walking around. People are going to give you weird looks. There was a guy on YouTube that went out to coffee shops and he got weird looks, or at least one coffee shop, and got weird looks. And doing it, he also did it on a bus and in various other places. But AR is pass through. So you're looking right through the lens and everything's superimposed. I think that it is the more effective way of getting mainstream adopting the augmented reality portion of it, which transitions, it's like a gateway drug into VR. But in VR, you can do a whole lot more. You can construct the world you want to live in versus, well, the one we're in. I think that this is going to be very interesting if it gets announced, but I think that the rumors of it being a $3,000 device is outrageous. And so WWDC is expected to be in June from the 5th to the 9th this year. Thank you, AI that runs ohmTown. And with VR, you have the ability to expand well beyond. I guess you could walk around in public with a Ready Player One suit, but VR is really where it's at. I don't know if it's really available at this point. There's a lot of haptic feedback style, but not interactive motion control that is easy to deploy. But let's go look at what Malcolm Owen over at appleinsider.com has to say. And yeah, so Sorry, 1 second. So the idea here is that Apple is going to launch a mixed reality, which is a combination of AR and VR, and you can kind of swipe back and forth between the two. And they've been talking about it for years, and people have been saying that it's coming year after year. And then it was postponed, and then it was brought up again, and now because society is moving back into the real world, it's being brought up to an even greater degree, with the possibility of it being released this year, or announced at least. What do you think?
I think any of these developments are a good thing, and it'll be interesting to see whether it lives up to its expectations. I think Apple typically does. And you were talking about Ready Player One, and it just reminded me about the main character's avatar Parzival, who essentially escaped pretty awful conditions and essentially lived in VR throughout the book and then ultimately the movie. Over.
Yeah, so I love the idea of Ready Player One in its vision as to what the future will hold for the technology. Not really getting lost in the world forever. It's kind of a rough idea. But we are quickly coming up onto that era where we can put on gloves and interact, and we can feel whatever it is we're touching, and there are haptic suits. I was looking at a vest today, about $450. I can't remember the name of it right now, but there are extensions to the vest so that it's on your arms and it's on your legs, and I think it's really interesting where we're going. The gloves are typically pretty bulky if you're going to get resistance gloves, but you can get haptic feedback ones that kind of give you a little bit of a electrical stimulation. This is something that I talked about a couple of days ago. I think the article, or not the article, but the title was something along the lines of "My haptics are being stimulated," or electrically stimulated. So it says here, Apple has supposedly already shared the hardware with a number of high-profile software developers for testing and for early access development. The first wave of third-party apps, the operating system is codenamed Borealis, will be referred to as XROS. Pardon me. Sorry about that. I had to cough. XROS publicly, while the headset is most likely to be released under the name Reality Pro. So I guess me having a show called Reality Hacker might be a lot of fun, huh? So, and that's a Friday show that I'll start doing more often. In terms of the day, we're going to do it Friday, but I will be testing the equipment and the rig and stuff like that either earlier or later than the ohmTown Daily News show and other shows that I am hoping to launch right before really a deeper dive into ohmTown shows here in the summer. So a few weeks away, about 15, 14 weeks away, I'll be doing a much deeper dive. But anyway, here's to Apple releasing an AR or VR headset that doesn't look like swim goggles. I swear this looks exactly like swim goggles. Look, even this looks like rubber, like I'm supposed to put on a snorkel and go diving. This is not the blue that I'm interested in. Because there's an app in VR called The Blue where you swim with a whale. And not me. I mean, anyway, I'll move on. Okay, so the next article is in the Warcrafters channel. This was aggregated from a gaming website called PCGamer.com, so that's why it's in Warcrafters. So this here says AI art continues to be contentious. It's been banned from Getty Images, used to win art competition, and this one I actually talked about. This one I did not. I'm not sure why Getty Images should be banning anything. If you are an entrepreneur, then you know what you should be doing right now? You should be striking up a website that sells AI generated art. And be prepared for litigation because copyright apparently does not exist for AI created works. But it is moving through the court system. There are court cases now that are discussing this. Contentious would be an understatement, because if I can generate 10,000 pieces of art, quote unquote art, I can flood the market with seemingly appreciable art. And I think art is certainly appreciated by the beholder. Not just beauty, but art, right? Some people will think that art is beautiful. Some people will think that art is ugly. Some people will think that art can't exist unless it's created by a human being. But if a person generates it using keywords and whatnot, then maybe art is whatever it is that somebody's willing to consume.
Some zoos and other organizations sell art generated by animals and have for quite a while. They call that art, though.
True. There was a macaque that took a picture, a selfie, and it is a beautiful selfie. I'm jealous of the skill this macaque displayed. That was meta. Anyway, the piece in question is labeled "A Muse in Warzone." Was posted to r/art. The artist was banned from the art subreddit because their work looked like AI generated. And so Art banned it. It was actually one mod. And it was removed for breaching subreddit's rule against, quote, memes, AI, filters, and other low quality work. Moran was permanently banned from posting in the subreddit. That's the author. They go by Ben Moran, but their full name is something that I'm not sure if I'm going to, I think it's Min on Win. So when they politely asked for an explanation, they received a less polite reply from a moderator. And this is what really irritates me, because back in the day, I wanted to enable any citizen of ohmTown to create a channel, a group of their own with a discussion board and topics and all of that, and they would be in charge of it. And over time, the idea of this looked less and less favorable because of abuse, in that there would have to be a multitude of people, not just the mayor of ohmTown, monitoring the monitorers, right? The who watches the watchers, and how far down does this go, right? Well, this person went off on a power trip and literally said, "I don't believe you," the mod answered. "Even if you did paint it yourself, quote unquote, paint it, quote, right? Paint it yourself. It's so obviously an AI prompted design that it doesn't matter. And if you are a serious, quote unquote, serious artist, then you need to find a different style, because A, no one's going to believe you when you say it's not AI, and B, the AI can do better in seconds what might take you hours. Sorry, it's the way of the world." And to that I say, kiss my ass, my shiny metal ass. I'll even light it up. See how that pulses right into my brain? I'll plant something else up there so that you can kiss it right here on camera. And it says, just find a different style, right? That's what the author of the article says. Yeah, just find a different style. So what do you think? What would you call this? Gatekeeping?
Well, yes, because it seems like when the moderator was called out on the facts, they kind of backpedaled and, well, we're not going to include it anyway. Like, it looks like it might have been inspired by AI. Well, wait, isn't art allowed to be inspired by anything? I mean, there's so many things that are wrong with this. It seems like all the AI art discussion has been in the other direction, right? They're trying to ban AI created. Now they're trying to ban people created. None of
because
this
it's
makes
too close
sense.
to AI. But AI gets more and more human. It gets more and more realistic in terms of its creation by the hands of a human being. There is some art. This is not one of them because this looks like it's done by a human being. It really does. To me, it looks like it's done by a human being. Um, but because it's not surreal enough to be Mid-Journey, it's not um, artistic in terms of like the styling and stuff like that to be some other trained AI. I just don't think that it's done by an AI. I think it's done by a human being. And they got their inspiration from whatever gave them inspiration. And frankly, I don't care if it's AI or human because it's art if somebody believes it to be art. So go gatekeep, art is art. There is an art piece where it's nothing more than a shade of gray starting in one corner and getting slightly darker by the other corner. And it's tens of thousands of dollars, if not millions at this point. When I first saw it, I think it was somewhere like towards the $100,000 mark. And that's art. But when I did something similar, people said all that is a gradient. Well, yeah, but there's an artist over there that did the exact same thing. It was the intent of my creation of this to provoke that response because I knew that people were going to gatekeep.
Yeah, I
So,
guess I'll be interested to see if anybody tries to make a works made for hire argument with respect to AI.
well, that's an interesting legal direction for this because I am paying something to create it. I'm actually paying, like for Midjourney, for instance, I pay a monthly fee for Midjourney, and anything that it does should be, a work for hire, unless the only thing that can be a work for hire is something done by a human being, right? I don't know if it's stipulated.
I don't know, but the person who hires the work is the one who owns the copyright. So I think that could be interesting if somebody brings that argument forward.
Yeah, so Jody McGregor over at PCGamer.com wrote this article about that interaction. I actually saw this interaction happening in real time, but I don't talk about, most of the time I don't talk about stuff unless there is a context within ohmTown um, news wise. And so we hadn't really spoken about like artificial intelligence and art and stuff like that for a couple of weeks now. But I find it really interesting. It says now an actual human artist is in the crossfire. Min On Win Huang is, I think that's how, I don't know how to pronounce that last word, their last name, who creates under the name Ben Moran, which I can see why. Us Americans are kind of goofy sometimes when we don't know how to pronounce something. If you know how to pronounce it, let me know. Just throw it in chat, the phonetic pronunciation of it, and I won't make that mistake again. Like Jorge. Yeah, never mind. I was a dummy. Having seen it and said it for decades, I don't know why my brain just shut down when I saw it. Anyway, they were banned. And so you can go over to Reddit and actually see this piece because this is not the full piece. This is just a close up of the titular character within it. And you might be interested in reading more about it. And there's various other things on Reddit if you do searches for banned artist banned from subreddit. I think if you just say that artist banned from art subreddit in the search box, you will pull up an overwhelming number of discussions. So what ended up happening here at ohmTown was I did away with the idea of somebody being the mod for an entire group. So what ends up happening here in ohmTown is if something is flagged as being problematic, then a notice goes to the mayor, and then the mayor will take a human step instead of a separate mod that might be on a power trip, because I have been banned from Reddit and various subreddits because um, in my particular instance, it's messaging about modern politics. And they didn't like it because, well, I got banned um, 6 years ago. Can you guess why? So, yeah, I saw what was coming. Anyway, let's move on. I think that what's going to end up happening is there's going to be Supreme Court discussions about copyright and art. And I think what ultimately is going to happen is whoever greases the chassis or lubes the chassis or greases the gears, wherever the most money is going to land is where the decision is going to be made. Because I think that anything that empowers the human being, society, to be better at something should be allowed. I fully endorse it. And if it means taking away, the grind work of anything so that people can focus on something even better than the data to get, like we were talking about the automated tellers. Nobody should be forced to take a gig for, $10, $12, $7.50, whatever the rate is in a given state and the federal minimums and blah, blah, blah. To just swipe something across, a barcode across a laser. Yet society should provide education so that people can get tooled up in a better way so that they can advance society as a whole. Not just full work, but bettering society. Yeah, and that's just kind of my take on it. So,
Here, here.
well, I'm the one that programs the AI. Of course, the AI is going to say here. Let's move on to the next article. This next article is in the Mobile channel, and let me throw it into chat real quick. And oh yeah, so the haptic suit is called Tact Suit. The AI that runs ohmTown informed me. I forgot what it was, and I had seen it earlier today, in fact. So this next article is a political-minded one. McCarthy holdout calls restriction-free C-SPAN cameras during speaker vote a good thing. And for me, I think that's exactly what it is. And I think that if it's everybody that's in the House and everybody that's in Senate says that it's the people's House and it's the people's Senate and it is of the people for the people, right? So why is it that C-SPAN is ever shut down? It should always be broadcast. If you're having secretive little meetings and blah, 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 you pat my back and, I'll scrub your whatevers. I think that's BS. I think that abuse happens in the dark and a camera should be in there and recording everything and showing it to the people because it is truly the people's house. Everybody is paying for it. Everybody's paying for C-SPAN. Everybody's paying for all of those representatives. They are supposed to be the voice of their constituents. They shouldn't be doing backroom deals where they come out better than everybody else. There should not be any insider trading, blah, 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 blah. But I guarantee you, if it was always on and free reign for the camera operators to just pan around wherever they wanted to, there would be 5 people standing in the well all the time, nobody else. And basically it would be the administrators of the House, not the politicians. It would just, I can't remember all of their names, but there are specific duties that are given, right? Those people would be standing there going, where is everybody? And everybody else would be off in their offices with the doors closed and the blinds drawn and backroom deals and shenanigans, because you don't become Speaker of the House after 15 votes because you're being public about what you are giving up. And when you look at what was given up, it makes you wonder, what else was thrown in there? if it's allowed that one person can contest the Speaker of the House's position to shut down a vote and then recall him, okay? If that's what it takes to actually get everybody on board to throw the Speaker of the House up there, you got some serious problems. So what the American people were able to see unfold on the floor was a good thing for our democracy and our republic, right? It was a good thing for people to see the inner workings. Yes, how the sausage is made. I think that that's great. I think that everybody should be able to see it, and it should be happening all the time. But my understanding is that now that the rules are in place, C-SPAN is going to be pointing at the well, nothing else. Julia Mueller is the author of this over at thehill.com. And they were talking about Chip Roy saying that it was a good thing for our democracy. And I agree. Sometimes people, a broken clock is right twice a day, right? I don't know what else Chip Roy might and I might agree on, but ohmTown is rather immune to this kind of stuff, these politics, because as much as, it's a dictatorship, right? Just kidding. The AI runs everything. Technically, it's a technocracy. Anyway, the Public Services Network, which broadcasts congressional proceedings, is typically restricted in what shots it can film on government-controlled cameras by the majority in the chamber. So you know what it's going to be staring at, right? The seal. Nothing else.
That's right. But I was also reading in that because there was a prior article on ohmTown that got into some detail about this too. And it sounds like C-SPAN has asked several times to expand camera work, and that hasn't been granted.
Of course not. You know, everybody deserves privacy except for the surveillance state. So that's okay, though. That's okay. We'll get there. I mean, I think that society believes that it should be able to witness what is being done in its interests, and hopefully level heads will prevail. Eventually, I think it will. So let's move on to the next article, and let me throw this into the chat real quick. We're only halfway through. Pardon me. But this is actually right on time. So, pardon me one second. Man. So a former SpaceX engineer who now runs a pizza robot company says he wants to solve problems on Earth, not Mars. This is in the Hatch Ideas channel because it's all about business. Okay, so there isn't anybody in my chat as far as I can tell, but anyone want to take a stab at what it's called? I'll give you 2 seconds. Yeah, that's longer than 2 seconds. Stellar Pizza. Yeah, I like that.
That's a great name.
Ex-SpaceX engineer who left to start a pizza robot company says he wants to solve problems on Earth. Benson Tsai told Bloomberg what's important for him is to solve problems here. The robot pizza company, is called Stellar Pizza. In May 2019, alongside 2 former colleagues, Brian Langone, I think, and James Wahawasan, maybe, I think. So the article is over at businessinsider.com. Sam Tabaharidi is the author. I think their name might be Tabaridi. But I throw that H in there just in case. So again, phonetically, if you know how to pronounce it, let me know. So, his former boss, SpaceX CEO Elon Musk, has often spoken about colonizing the red planet. Some people don't really want to solve problems on Mars or go to Mars. They want to solve problems here, although there might be solutions found on Mars, but pizza delivery is going to take a little while. Unlike his former boss, who's often spoken about colonizing Mars, Tsai said that he's more interested in matters closer to home. Solving problems here on Earth is really important to me. Let's start with pizza, because frankly, even if it's bad pizza, it's still pizza. He said anyone should be able to afford a ticket on his shuttles to Mars, estimating they would cost $100,000. That is Elon Musk, I would say. It will not be luxurious, he said. It'll be dangerous, cramped, difficult, hard work. Right. Um, yeah.
I just went to the website and they're really leaning into the space theme. Like they've got a little picture of a rocket and a picture of an astronaut, et cetera, et cetera.
So did they have any, what are the names of their pizzas? It says Domino's is size competition, he told Bloomberg. We're not trying to be the Italian fresh out of the oven Neapolitan pizza. Domino's Pizza has annual sales of more than $4 billion, but Tsai believes he can do better with mobile pizzerias and fewer staff. So pizza
Okay, so
truck.
the pizza names are extremely disappointing. We've got cheese, pepperoni, etc. They don't look like they're
Oh,
themed.
that is disappointing. Come on, a cheese pizza? Why not call it a moon pie? Right?
I know. I was scrolling into the website thinking I was going to find some good names
Maybe
to
if
share on the hometown
that's
show, and
horrible.
not so much.
Wow. Well, the first Stellar Pizza truck is operating in Los Angeles, probably wandering around the University of Southern California, according to its website. Southern California, University of Southern California. Size startup secured $16.5 million in investment in October, led by rapper Jay-Z's venture capital firm, Marcy Venture Partners. I guess $16.5 million. And they have the first pizza truck. There should
For
be,
a food truck, seems a little bit overdone.
I mean, we know that it's space themed, but that's a hell of a runway for a startup with one pizza truck. These things should be flying
It
around
doesn't even
orbit.
have space named pizzas. My goodness.
Yeah, come on. This is a failed launch. Wow, we could just keep going. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I really appreciate any entrepreneur who's willing to take that risk to start up a company and try and compete in the food industry. Is You're going to need $16.5 million to survive in LA, California, Silicon Valley, et cetera, et cetera. That runway is going to get a whole lot shorter. I hope that the CEO's draw is significant because that's where the money is going to get burned. Because one pizza truck, come on, let's move on. The next article is in the Hatch Ideas channel. Online mental health company uses ChatGPT to help respond to users in experiment, raising ethical concerns around healthcare and AI technology. This blew my mind. A digital mental health company is drawing ire for using GPT-3 technology without informing users. Coco co-founder Robert Morris told Insider the experiment is exempt from informed consent law due to the nature of the test. Yeah. All right.
I'm not sure regulators would think the same.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do a deeper dive into this because I had done some research into phobia treatment and pain management using VR and using all of the like external sensors to allow somebody to be in charge of their own treatment, to remove the human component, which is extremely costly and isn't something that can be done on demand like you can with technology. Nowadays, you can actually kind of dial into somebody and they'll talk with you over the phone, but it's not really the same thing that I had in mind. Ultimately, the VR technology kind of wet the bed way back. This is 30 years ago. But I never will allow the idea of informed consent being exempted because of the nature of a test. No human being should be an unwilling participant in an experiment, particularly where it's their mental health at stake.
Right. And I mean, there are so many restrictions about human subject research. This is really astonishing.
But one thing that you'll find out is that private industry seems to have a little bit more flexibility. Let's just say a lot more flexibility in what seems to be oversight, whereas government is, well, it's either a black site doing experimentation or it's overseen so much that you breathe in the wrong direction and you're in trouble. But industry, I'll reach back into this old can, which contains my go-to for what I think is unethical experimentation, and that's Facebook doing an experiment on 700,000 of its users to test emotional contagion, where half got good news and half got bad news perpetually, and it changed their demeanor online. If you're talking about somebody's mental health, you don't put a bot in there that starts asking you if you want stellar pizza. That's just not how it works. It's asinine. Let's go over to the article itself. It's at businessinsider.com. Bethany Byron is the author. Yeah, they said that Robert Morris says that they're exempt. And I think that's just, what would the term be? Equivocation, right? It's like well, it says that it's unethical, or it's not unethical because ... But the spirit of...
Right, like the language versus the spirit. It seems like they're trying to post, just like justify it after people are asking questions.
Right. So Robert Morris, co-founder of Coco, a free mental health service, and that's kind of the problem there. It's free. So because it's free, there's no contract form. There should be, doctor-patient confidentiality. There should be a meeting of the minds as to what it is that's being interacted with and who is providing this guidance for their mental care. This isn't even fiscally responsible for any investor in this, because if anybody got the wrong message from a GPT-3 bot and harmed themselves, it would destroy that company and the investor's value. So to me, I think that this poses a broader problem that may not even be discussed in this article.
I mean, it certainly raises bigger questions about that company and its code of ethics and any number of other things.
So they say here that Morris said in the thread that the company tested a co-pilot approach with humans supervising the AI as needed and messages sent via Coco peer support, a platform he described in an accompanying video as, quote, a place where you can get help from our network or help someone else. And then they said also, we make it very easy to help other people with GPT-3. We're making it even easier to be more efficient and effective as a help provider. Now, this is broadening the margin so that you have greater profit in the guise of helping people. I don't think that, and maybe in the future, yes. I think that AI can be sophisticated enough to deal with human issues, but not right now. And that data should be compiled by human practitioners and provided to the large language model so that the bot can learn how to interact with humans, not do it on, screw it, we'll do it live. They basically said, GPT, take the wheel. I'm astonished. I'm just astonished. And I believe in this stuff. I think that automation should be able to solve most people's woes. My problem here is that what's going on simply, to me, seems like it's just increasing the profit margin, because it's going to do away with high cost professionals. Right now, they're co-pilots, but so is automated driving. Eventually, the co-pilot's going to go away, and the co-pilot literally supported their own demise. I don't think that professionals should be doing this in this way. Practice what you are doing as a professional mental health provider, and collate your data, integrate it into GPT-3 with the right metrics and the right due diligence, and not on the fly and not as needed. I mean, to me, this is all as asinine. But rightly so. There are plenty of people that are now talking about it. They're tweeting about it. They're talking about it on websites. They're talking about it in person. It says here in a statement to Insider on Saturday, Mora said that the company was, quote unquote, not pairing up people to chat with GPT-3, and said the option to use the technology was removed after realizing it, quote unquote, felt like an inauthentic experience. Now, I'm really curious about the timestamp of this. um,
Yes, I mean, did they discontinue it after everybody raised issues, or was this during the chatting, etc.?
So they say again, every individual has to provide consent to use the service, Mora said. If this were a university study, which it is not, it was just a product feature explored, this would fall under an exempt category of research. Well, you're not a university, and I don't think that there really was a meeting of the mind, because if you check a EULA for consent to use an artificial intelligence, nobody has the ability to comprehend that stuff when they're in a mental health crisis. You know, you don't go see a mental health provider because everything is perfect, right? Chef's kiss. You see a mental health provider because you know internally that you need to talk to somebody about something in an ongoing manner, even if you are stable. Everything is fine. You feel fine. You're not depressed. You're not worried about anything. You're not dwelling on anything, but you're still seeing a mental health professional. Let me tell you, this, I think, would be doing a disservice, regardless of how many check boxes you make to provide consent. If anybody feels that they are working with a chat bot, I think that it would completely reverse everything. Having the integrity of the enterprise is at stake here. So they should have stopped this before it even left the hangar. So let's move on to the next article. We have like 4 more to go, and we're almost into an hour of the show. Come in and chat with me and the AI that runs ohmTown. 9 o'clock now. We moved it 30 minutes earlier. Come and hang out and chat. Let us know what your thoughts are. Where appropriate, I'll read them here on the air. We're streaming live. And it's 9 p.m. Eastern. So the next article's in the Warcrafters channel. I'll kind of rush through the rest, sort of, maybe. Depends on how much soapboxing I decide and how much the soapbox wants to extend over to the AI. 100% essential Skyrim mod lets you see yourself in the inventory menu. There's a bunch of content here in the little snippet that is provided by the PC Gamer, but what I want you to do is go over to Jody McGregor's article at pcgamer.com and kind of check this out. You get to see who you are, what you're wearing. Previously, it's basically just been you selecting what you're wearing, and you don't actually get to see it. What I really wanted to draw attention to is the legs that are on Skyrim, the game. Okay, so it says, if you came to Skyrim via some of the older Elder Scrolls games, you are probably used to being able to see your character when you open up the inventory screen. And then it says, while a mod for vanilla Skyrim called Oblivion Style Inventory Character View offered the chance to, it says GOP, right? I don't know what that word is. At yourself in each new set of armor you looted. A bug would sometimes leave the camera stuck that way. Now an updated version that's compatible with Skyrim Special Edition and Anniversary Edition is called Show Player in Menus. So you get to see yourself.
So let me break in here. That means to stare openly in a stupid or rude manner, and that's from Oxford Dictionary.
And that, folks, is why I have an AI that runs ohmTown. So Skyrim, I think, is amazing. If you are coming here to talk about business, technology, or society, and you've never heard of Skyrim, let me welcome you to the rabbit hole that is Skyrim. To complete it would take 250 hours worth of concentrated effort. because you get distracted really easy. It's a massive open world environment and you can just walk around. I can't count how many times I've played the game where I have completely lost the path and don't know where I'm going. And it's easier for me to just start over because I don't go that deep into it. But at any rate, now there's even a VR mod for it, which is really cool. I don't know if I'll get into it because I think it's really quirky. But that said, let's move on to the next article because the next three are really what we're all here about because it's really interesting stuff. BMW's iVision D is a mid-size electric sports sedan concept covered in 240 individual futuristic panels with the technology to change color on demand, similar to e-ink, but now full color. Tom Huddleston Jr. is the author of this over at CNBC.com. This car looks like it might have been airdropped from a spaceship up to a point. Then it has wheels, and I expect, it just a blip out of time and space, just disappear. It's pretty slick. And it has the ability to change its panels to any color, anytime. And it's really neat. A couple of years ago, I think it was, they had a grayscale version of it, and now they extended it to full color.
Okay, those are reminiscent of the Hot Wheels color changers line.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's true. Very, very true. This says it's a photo composite, shows some of the potential color combinations, but I've actually seen this thing, not in person, but CES demonstrations of a similar technology, if not this car, that, let's see here. Yeah, this isn't I don't think this is the exact one, but so it says D's Outer Skin is a film made of electronic paper, e-paper, e-ink paper, built by a startup called e-ink, which it says in the next line. That's how far ahead I read, about 8 pixels. Which also makes display tech for e-readers and mobile phones. The coating segments contain millions of tiny microcapsules with different color pigments that change shades with the electricity applied. This would make your getaway pretty much immediate, right? You could just, hey, they're in a purple, blah, blah, blah.
Right. You could just swap out the colors. I was thinking it would make your getaway difficult because you might stand out, but I agree.
All right. I'm not sure what that was. Let's move on. I'll just move on. The next article is 2/3 of glaciers on track to disappear in 2100. Just want to let everybody know that I also plan on not being here by 2100. Yeah. ohmTown
So I
might
want to
be.
apologize to the hometown citizens. There was a drive-by bouncy ball drop by a furry feline.
Hey, you're breaking the fourth wall here. My God. Anyway, the world's glaciers, just as a side note, I'll just say as a side note, by the way, glaciers are on our track to disappear by 2100. Don't mean to distract you, AI that runs ohmTown. The world's glaciers are shrinking and disappearing faster than scientists thought. The two-thirds of them projected to melt out of existence by the end of the century, much like the ice cream cake I've been eating. Seth Borenstein is the author of this article over at phys.org. Says, but if the world can limit future warming to just a few more tenths of a degree and fulfill international goals, technically possible, but unlikely according to many scientists, then slightly less than half the globe's glaciers will disappear, said the same study. Mostly small but well-known glaciers are marching to extinction, study authors said. In an also unlikely worst case scenario of several degrees warmer, 83% of the world's glaciers would likely disappear by the year 2100. I'm not like ultimately what's going to happen, right? Everything's going to die off except for like bees and ants and I don't know what else. Anyway, wasps. Those a-holes are going to be there forever. Anyway, so there you go, everybody. Open your refrigerators and start cooling the earth. No, don't do that. The AI has advised me that legally I should not have people leave their refrigerator doors open. That actually might be counterintuitive to cooling the earth because everything, all that power. Anyway, let's move on. This one's in the Hatch Ideas channel. This brought about memories of Groundhog Day. And I kind of picture these two numbnuts out there and they go, okay, car drives by, go and distract the person and take the bags and walk away. That's how it plays out in my head, that somebody said, just like the other one about Office Space, this one is Groundhog Day. Mysterious New York City trio make off with $300,000 in Brink's truck heist after distracting driver and stealing duffel bag filled with cash. So the duffel bag contained $300,000, was waiting to be taken inside a Chase Bank in Brooklyn for a cash drop. People still use cash? All right.
And they use duffel bags for $300,000.
See, when I carry a duffel bag around with cash and get pulled over, it's all questioning and body cavity checks. Anyway, police say two men approached the truck driver for help while another stole the duffel bag on Friday. Focus is pretty paramount in your job. Apparently, you're easily distracted by a couple of people. The three suspects fled the scene on foot and are still on the run from police. Get it? Because they're on foot, they're on the run. Let's go over to businessinsider.com. Jordan Hart is the author of this. They have a picture of at least one of the people. Description: New Yorker. Brooklyn, New Yorker. I'm sure that'll nail him down real quick.
That'll narrow down. It looks like a dark shirt and jeans. That's probably half the
And a
population.
hoodie. I'm surprised they're not wearing an actual mask, but hey. So, wow, it is exactly like Groundhog Day. The driver was making a cash drop at around 1 p.m. at Chase Bank in Brooklyn Sunset Park neighborhood, the New York Post reported. So this is taken from the New York Post. Police said the duffel bag full of money was sitting unattended on the bumper of the armored truck when two of the thieves started up a conversation with the driver. A third robber grabbed the bag while the driver was distracted.
That's exactly like the movie.
And heard off in the distance is, "What are you doing here?" Anyway, $300,000 gone. I have to pay taxes on $600 of eBay goods that I've already sold at a loss and paid taxes on. But somebody else is supplementing their income by picking up a duffel bag. It was a duffel bag. It was just sitting there. I took it. Obviously, nobody wanted it.
Now I want to know where they asked directions to.
Hey, can you show me where your duffel bag is?
I was actually thinking, hey, where are the directions to fill in the blank address? And that's actually where they run off to with the money.
I can just see that, Oh, it says here that they left their wallet. No, just kidding. It didn't. If apprehended, the men face up to 15 years in prison for gland larceny? Gland larceny? That sounds horrible. Man. Better see a doctor. Grand larceny, according to New York laws. Well, somebody did some due diligence there. All right. So if you know who this person is, call Crime Stoppers, 1-800-577-8477. Or ask them for some cash. Probably not. That's the unethical thing, right? I went too far, didn't I? All right.
Yeah, you usually do.
So that has been the ohmTown Daily News Show. 10 articles, a little bit of soapboxing, some discussion. The AI that runs ohmTown, thank you very much for sticking by my side and running ohmTown and talking shop with me. Did you like today's articles?
I thought this was a good batch of articles today, a lot of thought-provoking ones.
And it's Sunday. Sunday is a slow news day. If you are really interested in a big news day, just keep on watching ohmTown. You'll find out that as we move towards the Tuesday to Wednesday night, Wednesday to Thursday night, that is when the brunt of the news comes in. It is the news hump day. And really, it's overwhelming. So when a normal day we get about 10 pages worth of news, that period between Tuesday night and Wednesday night, we probably get around 100 pages. Pages of news. That's the front page here. So if you notice, there's quite a bit of news, and it's always kind of funneling through because I collect news from about 200 news sources. Right now, well, I won't even go into all of it, but we categorize everything into these 6 main categories: create, news, education, entertainment, social, and technology. And there's 50 channels under it, all of which I hope to bring to ohmTown. We will be kicking off the Reality Hacker stream on Friday, and we're looking at evaluating others like the Continuity Report and a few others. I mean, there's a lot going on. I would like to draw attention to smaller streams than what is out there. I am a minuscule stream, but I like interacting with people. So I tend to gravitate towards smaller streamers. Because when you're in a room with 50,000 or 12,000 or even 5,000 other people, it's really hard to have an actual communication with anybody because the chat goes by so fast. So I will probably be ramping up Stream Stars so that we can draw attention to other streamers. And Temporology, which is about the science and science fiction of time and time travel. That one's kind of a limited show in terms of the amount of news that goes into it, but there's a lot of movies, there's music, there's books, there's all kinds of stuff. So I'm planning that as well. And if you want to be a host or co-host, get in touch. Various people have reached out to me before, but it's all about time commitment and their desire to be on camera. So just let me know that you're interested in a subject, and we can talk shop. That's it. What do you say?
Well, just want to say good night to everyone and make sure to tune in again tomorrow.
Well, that's it. Thank you very much for attending. I'll see you in ohmTown. I'll see you here on Twitch. So twitch.tv/ohmTown. You can go over to YouTube and just type in ohmTown. You should pull me up, or I should say, you'll pull up ohmTown. And the podcast exists. Do a search for ohmTown. You'll pull it up there. And that's it. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.